Hello and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. We will be previewing the upcoming clash this Thursday night against the Bulldogs. How are we feeling, boys?
Confident, mate. Confident.
As
Big
always,
clash.
I'm
Big
joined
clash.
by Ethan, Speech, and Pattinson. So how are we, boys? Are you all good? How are we feeling? How are we feeling about the game? I'm actually more confident. You know, it sounds weird because they played in the grand final last year. I'm almost more confident about this game. I shouldn't be. Than I was last week. I don't know if it's off the back of how he played last week a little bit, but I think there's a bit of turmoil maybe at the Dogs. You know, the coaches, abusing fucking reporters. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, how are we feeling, boys? I'm feeling pretty confident about it.
Yeah, feeling good, mate. It's an important clash for our season. I think if we knock them off this week, we've got Hawthorn and Gold Coast. That could really open up our season and really shoot us up the ladder if we start winning these games. So we usually match up well against the Dogs, even when we weren't too great. I feel like at all parts of the ground we match up well against them, especially now with their midfield. They've got a strong midfield, so they base their game around their midfield. So let's see how we go. Yeah,
absolutely. As you said, there last year, we should have probably beaten them last year. But a few results didn't go our way. You know, we've bet them a few times. We do measure up pretty well. Pato, how are you feeling about the game, mate?
Yeah, confident. I just think purely it was because in the past weeks, especially last week, I just think I'm definitely more confident just because of how we actually performed. Like, that was sensational. Like, on Thursday night, sensational. As I said in the review show, probably the best I've seen us play in a very long time. It's just so good to see. But I just think we should win, but also I wouldn't be surprised if Doggies are favourites.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you play, the Premiership, playing a grand final, only a matter of 2 games ago, you're probably going to be favourites to beat us. But yeah, Speech.
Yeah, look, I do agree with you being more confident for this game against Richmond, purely just because we're a better matchup against the Dogs in recent history. So yeah. I don't think we'll win. Big shock, I know. But I am more confident at the same time facing the Dogs and facing the Tigers. I know I'm with.
You're more confident against the Dogs than you are against the Tigers. We beat the Tigers, but you don't think we'll beat the Dogs. Fair enough, mate.
I didn't think we'd beat Richmond either, heading into the game.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we just get a stat up? I reckon we need to rewatch every preview. I just want to see, based on Speech's tips, what our record would be from then.
To be fair, we haven't won many games. 100%. So
100%. I'm on the other scale where I'm a dickhead, where I'm tippers every week. So,
so you're both dickheads for different reasons. Just me and Pato were sort of in the middle a bit more.
Yep.
Agreed.
I was going off the back of 0-1. Our system held up. We looked pretty good against the D's, although it's pre-season game is what it is. We played very well, especially in that last quarter against Richmond, as we touched on last episode. We'll do the same against the Dogs. What's the biggest challenge, I guess, going to be? What's the biggest difference, we'll say, from obviously the Dogs compared to Richmond, and then we'll say Melbourne to a lesser extent, but more so Richmond. What's going to be the biggest challenge for the Blues, Ethan?
I think it's going to be important for the mids again. I think they're pretty stacked in there. They've probably got a few extra mids than Richmond have currently, in depth wise. I think as I said before, I think it's a great matchup for us. I think defensively, on offense, for us, I don't think they can handle Harry and Charlie if they get going, which hopefully they do. But that's pretty much what I'm going to say, mate. It's just another good matchup.
Awesome, Pato.
Yeah, I just think structurally it's a different sort of game plan. As Duff said, they do have a lot of firepower through the middle. And if Bontempelli isn't playing, which we will touch on later on in the episode, but if Bont isn't playing, they probably, of course it does help us, but they will have another player to step in. We all know that sort of player will definitely be up to it. It's going to be a tough one, but once again, I am confident. I think we should win. I think we should. I felt the same against the Tigers, but I think we should win. But also, we'll find out Thursday night.
Absolutely, mate. We all going to be there. I assume we're all going to be there.
Yep.
Beautiful. Speechley. Hopefully you're there, Speechley. Yeah, what are your thoughts, mate?
I think just the biggest difference between the Doggies and the Tigers is just ball use. I think Doggies are a much cleaner side, as well as touched on through the middle. And I think Doggies turned the ball over way too much last week than what they'd be happy with. So I think that'll probably be a big emphasis for them this week to be a lot cleaner going forward like they normally are. So I think that's something that we've got to really pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as you said, it's a pretty classy midfield with Bont playing, not playing. As we sit here, what is it, Monday night, I believe McRae said he will be playing. So we'll take his word on that. Obviously, Norton's a star up forward. You've got a lot of stars, as you'd expect to, when you're playing a grand final, I guess. You got Waitman throwing himself around, getting 30 free kicks a game. It'd be interesting. Yeah, obviously plenty of controversy this week from a Dogs point of view. They will obviously need to respond. We need to be ready for their response. But I think there's two ways to go about that. Like, will they feel the need to come back and respond? Like, obviously, if we get the win, I'll be more so. I'll watch it either way. But if we get the win, I'll definitely be watching Devo's press conference, one way or the other. That'd be interesting to see. Do you think it's caused a lot of disruption? Not much disruption. Obviously, the event unfolded with Tom Morris, which we won't get into as much. But do you think the Bevo incident, Daffy, will cause much turmoil around the club, or you reckon they'll handle it all right?
I think they're a pretty good professional club, so I think they'll back it up pretty well. They'll want to. Well, it's a pretty hard matchup for them now. Looking at our round one result, I'm sure they're a bit nervous, but they wouldn't want to start the year 0-2. So you don't want the media hopping on your back early. So I'm sure they'll come out and fire at us.
Absolutely, Pato.
Spot on. There's not much more to add on to that. I just think that they are a very professional club, and I think they will pretty much they will respond. And yeah, we just have to be ready for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Speechley.
Yeah, I think Daphne said word for word how I was about to answer that question. They're a very professional organisation, and they just wouldn't want to start 0-2 after being in the grand final last year, being embarrassed in the grand final. Then to come out and start 0-2, it's not really something you'd really want, especially when Carlton's one of those two games here. It's not really a game you'd want to pencil in as a loss. So, yeah, we've got to be ready to try and upset that for them.
How good is it now? Seriously, how good is it now that Carlton is now a club that everyone is threatened by? How good is it? Go to the bank.
Yeah, I know. It's been
awesome.
too long. I'm sure in the past years they've just gone on the fixture. Yeah, that's a win. Carlton, that's a win.
Yeah.
Well,
now we're there, mate. We're finally there.
Yeah.
I think that's where the Richmond joke came from, didn't it? Playing in their grand final each year, that type of thing. But yeah, it is good. It's good to be, I guess, somewhat feared. They always say, whenever we've been terrible, they always say, we can't take them lightly and all that. But let's be real, everyone took us lightly. Probably fair enough, yeah. Like for a lot of the, probably fair enough. But we told them they were coming. We just didn't really give them a time frame. But we're here, all right. We're here. Now they know we're coming now. Just on that, so with Bontempelli, if he, let's say, he's playing, obviously our coach will be, as Ethan and I were joking about earlier, will be zooming in. He'll have we'll have a big screen of him zooming in to coach the players, which would be interesting. I'm sure he'll be there in some capacity. Not physically there, but I'm sure they will actually do some sort
definitely. Definitely.
But yeah, I'm not sure if Hanson will hold up a fucking laptop at half,
Vossi gives it a rev up at quarter time.
Trying to turn him up or bring a big speakers out or something. So Vossi, tell us.
They've got to make sure they've got Zoom membership so the 40 minutes doesn't run out during the game.
Watching the game and then it'll just go off and turn the TV off.
He'll face the issues we're facing currently.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's all we got to get. So obviously Jack Martin's out. We know that. That's just happening. Do you look to bring in maybe a Fogarty or who? Do you look to bring in if Bontempelli's playing maybe an Ed Kerno type player? What are you going with, Ethan Daffy?
I rule out Ed Kerno. I think it goes down to two. I think it's Jack Carroll and Lockie Fogarty, either of the two. I think they can fill that void and also, go through the middle. Obviously, Carroll's a midfielder, but I'm sure he can play half forward for a game and then go in, rotate with a Kennedy or something like that. So Fogarty has a bit more experience, so maybe bring him in, but I wouldn't mind a Jack Carroll debut, to be honest.
That's what I was going to just touch on. Do you think as we've touched on a few times now, they were in the grand final last year. They're no easy beat for any stretch. Would they bring in Fogarty? You sort of know what you're going to get almost. It's a bit more experienced, opposed to giving something like a young person, or what would is that the way you'd look at it? Like bring someone in with a bit more experience, or
Yeah. I guess Fogarty's still a young fella as well. He hasn't played too many games of footy. But I think he fills that exact role that Jack Martin plays, where he plays half forward for most of the game and then has a few minutes in the middle. But who knows? It's going to be interesting. But I'm happy with both.
yeah, absolutely. I'd say probably Fogarty. I don't know. I feel like he's been around longer. I don't know. I know he's pretty young, but Pato.
Yeah, I think out of the three, it's probably Lockie Fogarty. I just think he's probably the player that I wouldn't mind seeing. And I kind of like it when one player goes out and one player comes in the exact same position. And I think out of everyone who's available, I think Lockie Fogarty is probably the main player. But has there been any word on Josh Honey? Because I know that he, like, even at the start of the year, I had him in for my best 22, but has there been any word, especially I assume?
I think he's still about a month away. I think that's probably the expectation.
Okay. Yeah, so like also that's probably another player that could actually come into this side. So, I mean, we'll touch on later, but just so many competition for the spots, and it's really like it's pleasing to see, and it's awesome. It's awesome, isn't it?
Absolutely. Just on that as well, obviously, we'll touch on Sam Walsh then in terms of injuries. Training with the main group last week before the Richmond game, predicted, I believe, Pato, you wrote this, so predicted round 3. Is he? Do you want to run us through Sam Walsh, mate, and how you've seen him progress or how he's recovering for us?
Yeah, so round 3 was potentially the time that he was going to return, but as we all know, Walshy, my word once again, but he's just a hard worker. He just trains so hard, and you can tell that when he gets injured, I mean, we don't see him get injured often, but you can tell that when he is injured, he tries everything he can to get back to actually get back to some sort of play. And you can tell that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing this week, but if he's not 100%, we don't want to risk this young fella. We need to remember what he's turning 21 or 22 this year. I don't think he's older than 21. He's like his 3rd year, 4th year player. We can't risk this guy. So even for one round, we have other players. We beat Richmond last week without Walshy. So I think he will be back by round 3. I don't mind if he trains all this week, but still say you're not playing this week. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be hard. I mean, it's definitely not something you want to rush. As I said, young kid, you probably never want to rush, to be fair, but young kid. And yeah, I think it doesn't matter who you're playing, you sort of give them as much time to recover as possible. All right, we'll get stuck into sort of a few matchups now, I guess. Do you have any matchups for us, Ethan? Like who's going to go to who's going to play on what?
Well, a key one over the last few years, I think we've done pretty well, is handling Aaron Norton. Last year, I think second half we weren't great, so he kicked a few. But then there was one year where Jonesy kept him to barely any touches. Obviously, Jonesy not here anymore. Hope he's doing well, Jonesy. Shout out. But Norton versus Wiedering.
He's still alive.
Yeah, I know he's alive, mate. I'm talking. He watches the show, mate.
He's not here anymore. He's not with us.
Norton on Wiedering. I think it's a big one. I think Norton's probably their best forward right now. I personally, for the Dogs, I think they should bring in a Hugo Hagen. Their forward line's not really, like, it's just not a big threat apart from Norton. Like, they've got some good small forwards, Waitman's all right, but I think that's a big matchup. If we can keep Norton to, naught, we should be right.
Oh, naught for Norton, get off it. Pato, what do you think the biggest matchup's going to be, mate? And do you agree sort of what Ethan just said as well?
Awesome play on words there, Daff. But I think, that's actually not a bad shout, Daff, about Hugo Hagen actually coming in, because let's be real, he was pick 1. He's probably turning into maybe being like a Lance Franklin sort of forward. So why wouldn't you play him? Like, let's be real. Like, what they've got Josh Shackey. I don't know. I don't know.
I hope Shacky's playing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But,
is this a Nick Larkey moment?
Oh no. But there's no one really else down there unless I'm really missing maybe like a.
Well, like I was at the D's Dogs game and like Norton had a ripper. Like he needs to be. We need to lock him down. But they rotate English and Steph Martin, but like if we're worried about that, we probably shouldn't be an AFL side. But yeah.
Absolutely. Speech.
I mean, I think their forward line from a Tallest perspective is, it's this is just that, isn't it? Like obviously, I said
My word.
Norton's very good. But they're definitely missing Josh Bruce. I think that's one that obviously his ACL last year, that's going to hurt them. Obviously, it's not going to hurt us. But yeah, it's interesting. I think even in our forward line, I think the Mackay, Kerno, Silvani trio, I mean, that's better than their forward line, whatever they've got down there. So I think from that perspective, we should have them covered. But yeah, you just never know. You just never know with Carlton. I can never trust them too much.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, yeah, so shout out to Jonesy Easton. He said, hope he's going very well and hope Bruce is going very well in his recovery as well. We're going to stuck into a couple of questions now. I've got a couple of questions here, I think. So I'll read through them. Some of them are probably already answered, but where do you see the Blues finishing this year? Obviously, we did a pre-season sort of episode. We've all had our discussions among each other that we didn't going to happen. Has it changed since we played Richmond? Or how are you expecting us to shape up going forward now, Pato? Top 8?
I think after round 1, I think definitely our expectations will be top 8. I had us in top 8, but I was kind of like, you don't know. But I just think after round 1, you pretty much, like after that sort of performance, you have to be pretty hyped about that. So I think top 8 for me.
That's a good early prediction from you, Pato. I like it. 1 round in. Hopefully we can string a few games like the Tigers game back together again. Probably a few little things we need to fix up, but obviously a lot less things we need to fix up than probably round 1 last year or any other year of the last 10 years. So looking pretty good. Speechly, you have us, 15th, 16th?
18th, obviously. We're getting the spoon, obviously.
VFL.
Look, obviously, 1 round in, keeping the lid on it. I still am not changing from where I had us just outside the 8. For now, I think it's just, keeping the lid on it. Consistency has always been the key and the worry for me with Carlton's. I think, probably better to make a more informed comment on it a few more weeks in the season rather than just one game. But that's just me, though.
Yeah.
Well, tell you what, mate, that lid will be bloody shot off after we win by 8 goals against the Dogs. Ethan?
Yeah, it's a good prediction by Speech. It is early in the year. I don't think Richmond are going to make the 8. So, for me, I said it last episode in the review, sky's the limit. I don't want to put a limit on this group, but I think it's going to be a home elimination final. So it'll be 6th, and I think we'll win a final.
That's good. I think you managed to put no expectation and home elimination final that we win into the same sentence. That's impressive, man. I like that. Really, really good job.
But in terms of, we just can't have a limit. Like you look at groups like Melbourne and when West Coast won the flag, Dogs won the flag. There's no limit, and I think we could almost if we get on a roll, it could be top 4. But who knows?
But no expectations, but also flaggers.
Yeah, I wouldn't put expectations on them, but the sky's the limit. Like, put all the expectations on them.
We're actually winning the next 4 premierships in a row. We don't know.
We're calling it the greatest dynasty since Richmond. Call it dynasty. Also no. All right. Any other questions? Obviously, the lid was off 3 out of 4 of us last week after we bet the Tigers. One of us is a bit more. What's the word? Is it a pessimist? Is that the word?
Yes.
But how's the league going to go after we win by 8 goals, boys? I think it is going to be shot off. I think we will be going off our nut if we beat the Dogs, I reckon.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
You look for any excuse to go out clubbing and celebrate anything. Probably celebrate like your younger brother's freaking 2nd birthday, take him to the club or something. You love a celebration, mate. So where's the lid going after we beat the Dogs?
Well, for me, the lid isn't fully off yet. It's not fully off.
Yeah.
It's there for the taking. If we win this week, I'm telling you, we will lift the roof off Marvel Stadium if we win this game.
The lead is off Marvel.
Yes.
I know he's pretty strong. He could pop that off with 2 hands. All right, then. We will. I think that's about it for the questions. We're pretty average questions, I need to say the least. From the
Bang.
All right. Who are you looking forward to seeing the most? Obviously, we had a few really good performers last week. It was pretty much a team effort. There wasn't many players that didn't play well, I guess it's fair to say. Who is I guess you're looking forward to seeing the most? Do you reckon they're in for a big game, whether it's many goals, many disposals, whatever it is? Pato, don't say Lockie O'Brien, please, but who?
I think Charlie Curnow. I think he's had a few games under his belt. I think we need to see him starting to fire because I don't think I can go a few more 3 or 4 weeks without Charlie getting pretty much any impact. Of course, he's coming off an injury. I'm not going to, as we said, but we were saying the same thing last year, probably the last few games, saying, no expectation. He's had a full preseason. He's played most games over the Prucky games, inter-club matches, whatever. He's played round 1, 8 disposals, whatever he got. No impact on the scoreboard. We all know how good Charlie is. I think he's under the pump this week.
I agree. I think that's a great call. I don't think there's any real excuse now. He's had a full preseason just like anyone else. I think it shows in, we're not comparing players, whatever, but I think Sam Doherty, like what he's been through, then he come back, kick a goal, rack up the disposal, play a blinder, 90% efficiency. Yeah. Just against the expected, he kicks it backwards a bit. But still, I think he was deadly by foot. There was no excuse there for him. I don't think there's any excuses for Charlie anymore. It's one game. We're not going to, he's going to be a champion, but completely agree. Speechley, who do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, look, I was just about to say Charlie. I think, as the time's come, he's gotten a few games under his belt, and I think it's his first game, against the Dogs since he kicked 7 on him. So,
yep,
another game like that, please.
Great call. I see, Charlie's going to have a blinder, I reckon, and then we'll have to reshare Pato's video, I reckon, get a few more views on that. It done pretty well the first time around, but we'll give it a second take. Daffy?
I think it's time for a breakout game for Mr. Zach Williams. I think he hasn't really had an absolute standout game for the Blues yet. And I think it's his time. Run off halfback, kick a few snags, send the Dogs home crying.
All right, I'm going to say name. What your guys' opinion on round 1 performance and how you think you'll go round 2? Because I think it was okay. I think he did a few good things, especially marking it on the wing. Then kicked it to Cripper, or sort of, and then Cripper got the goal. McGovern, what do you reckon, Daffy?
He was fucking fantastic, mate. Seriously, I've dropped the F-bomb for him and it fucking deserves it. I'm doing another one. Seriously, for a guy who has changed position in 4 months, 5 months, and the way he plays on the big stage, round 1, and how good was his ball use? Yeah, he set up, I think, 3?
Yeah.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think he set up both the cribbers. I think the second one, he set up the set shot. The first one, I might have been a touch in between, but pretty much took a hanger, kicked it, might have been something in between, but he pretty much...
I'm sure he set up Silvani's one as well, if I'm not wrong.
I believe so, yeah.
Huge. He's good by foot, and it's just good to see, mate.
It's overdue to say the least, but it's been very good. Speechley, McGovern, mate.
Yeah, I mean, from that's 3 games in now, including the 2 preseason games we've been playing down back, and he's just been outworldly in all 3. His positioning is fantastic for someone who's been playing as a forward, so to be able to transition and have that positioning down pat straight away, I think is unbelievable. And yeah, I'm so proud of him being able to do that. It's really good to see after we've been bagging the crap out of him his whole career at Carlton. I love it.
Absolutely, mate. What was that word? Sorry, unworldly. Was that what you say? I've never heard that.
Outworldly.
Outworldly. That gives you one to look up after the episode. Pato,
that one wasn't in Sam's dictionary.
I thought not many words are in my vocabulary.
But Mitch McGovern, my word, superstar. How good was he?
Can we get a counter of my word, please?
I think it's up to about 40. I think it's up to about 44, Daff.
I think it's about the same times that Daffy said fuck, so it's good.
I'm trying to even them out, mate.
One's a swear word, one's not.
But McGovern. I was probably one of his biggest critics. I saw so much at Adelaide, and I was so stoked to get him over to Carlton. And I was saying to all my mates, I was like, McGovern is going to be the man. He's going to be the key forward that we all wanted. And unfortunately, it hasn't really turned out to be that way. But a lot of players do change their positions. And let's hope that McGovern and his position change is going to be really good for the Carlton Football Club.
Absolutely, mate. All righty. All right, let's talk about where it all starts. Everything starts from here in the Ruck contest. who do you see having a more bigger influence? Pito, TDK. Can I just say, I made the prediction start of the year, stand by it. If I just stand by it, it'll be round one's mark, but TDK will take mark of the year this year. It's a shame you can't bet on it because it's going to happen. Mark of the year to him. Who do you see having the biggest influence, TDK or Pitt, against sort of English and then Martin? Does Martin play? Just give me your thoughts about the Ruck contest, especially.
It's an interesting one. I think the Ruck is probably the doggies' weakest link. I know English had a very good game against Gorn last week, but that hasn't generally been the trend for them. I really did like on the weekend the transition between Pitt and TDK between the Ruck. And I think we personally win that matchup. I think that last quarter effort, just clearances, obviously didn't lose a single centre one. I think we get the wood over them in the Ruck.
I agree, mate. I mean, it's hard not to say Pat, to be fair, with that big, beautiful man there staring at you. Speaking of which, we'll go to him. Pato.
Yeah, I think when English and Martin are both playing, they're pretty underrated. I actually rate both of their ruckmen. I think English is actually going to be a really good player. And we all know Martin, how he was a very capable ruckman at Brisbane. And I think if he does play, it's going to be something that we have to look at. But I think we should get that done. I think that the duo of TDK and Pitt, I think it's really good. Because I wasn't too keen on it. I wasn't too keen on the duo, but I think after round one, I'm definitely more confident. And I think that's definitely the way for Carlton to move forward with actually having that duo, which is good.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's good. I think TDK is actually going to be obviously a good ruckman. First and foremost, I think he can sort of play, in the forward line there a little bit there, and he's a great marker. Some of his marks are just sensational. I reckon he just flies at the footy. Like for a big bloke, he just flies at the footy. Like it's crazy to see. Ethan.
Yeah, I love the dynamic of Pito and TDK. They both bring something different. You could tell in that last quarter it hurt Richmond when we switched it up and we just changed it up, and both of them were winning the taps. They're both fantastic. I think Pito is a very, very underrated ruckman in this league. He's played under 35 games, I think. He's only 24 years old. I think people forget that as well. Throws his body around. He protects his midfield, as you can see. Talked about it today, that he wants to go out there and protect his mids as much as he can. I'll have to disagree with Pato. I don't rate English and Martin at all. I just don't like Stephen Martin. He's a good backup ruckman, but both of them together, it never seems to work. And I heard him in the grand final. I know it's a grand final, but you can just see it. They were found out from Gawn and Jackson, who are very dynamic and very different. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Who knows?
Well, we should wrap it up. There's only a couple minutes to go on the Zoom, but I'm sorry, you can't just say that without me getting return serves from Pato. Doesn't agree with you, mate. How does that make you feel?
Oh, no, I mean, like we all have different opinions. I just think that English, I personally think is going to be a star. I think he's definitely one of the players that I actually really like at the Dogs. But also Martin, he was probably better at Brisbane. But like as we said, I think that Gawn is definitely a lot better, and he probably did like in the grand final last year. He definitely did shut up the Martin English, and especially with Jackson also. But yeah. I mean, we all have our opinions. We all say,
yeah. I don't mind English, but he just looks a bit dangly for me. I don't know. Like I know he's a bit skinny. I know he's tall, but he's just a bit. I don't know. All right, I can't wait till we get some more episodes actually in person, boys. Because I'll tell you what, looks like I'm wearing makeup. I don't know what's with my Zoom, but it looks like I'm wearing makeup every time I go on a Zoom. So I promise you I'm not. All right, let's do our predictions of the game. I want first goal, best on ground. Who's going to win, obviously. And then margin, Jack. No, we won't go Jack first because we know he's going to say. Pato?
First goal, TDK. Best on ground, Adam Chura, my new probably favourite player. The new cold hero, I think, at the Carlton Football Club. And my tip is Carlton by 34 points. Bang.
Bang, there we go. I have to agree. Should have got the goal. First goal against the Tigers. Missed it, is what it is. But I'll go TDK, first goal. Best on ground. Well, he backs it up. Cripper, I reckon. Blues by, I think I said 8 goals earlier. I'll stick by that. Win by 48 points. Ethan?
Yep. First goal, Harry Mackay. first of 6. I said that last week. Unfortunately, he didn't do it. But best on ground, Cripps, and margin 38 points.
Wow. Speechless.
First goal, Matthew Owies. Best on ground, Cribber. He'll back it up. And then to win the game, Doggies by 7.
Oh,
Can we cut that video up? Nah, it's all good, mate. We all have an opinion, just some are wrong, like yours will be. I think that's just about it from us, boys. So that wraps up another episode of Baggers Chat. Check us out on all our social medias. We're also on the Footy Live app, so check us out there. And as always, Pato,
go the mighty Blues.
Come on.